Debt management impact of the global finance structures on Philippines debt. A shift from a commercial bank lending of to ODA. After 1982, commercial banks sought to reduce their exposure to developing country debt. Official creditors took over the role of providing development funds in response to the perceived and need for stabilization and adjustment. The ODA, as defined in Republic Act 8182, ODA Act of 1996, is a loan or grant administered to promoted sustainable social and economic development and welfare of the Philippines. ODA resources must be contracted with the governments of foreign countries with whom the Philippines. Then next slide is increasing the stock. The stock is the developing countries rose from $639 billion in 1980 to $1.341 billion in 1990. This indicates the addiction of developing nations to the finance. Also, the rapid rise in the debt stock was brought about by dollars depreciation against other major currencies, which raised the debt stock by 10% in 1990, uh, equivalent to $45 billion. So trends in debt stock are on the exchange rates to finance development services is external debt and close of financing gap due to large important requirements. Global finance structure has that movement in the exchange rate literally dictated trend in the debt stocks. Next slide. Next slide is debt service and elimination of areas. The primary concern of global finance since the debt crisis is to ensure that the debtor country continue to services their debt. This is to protect the creditors, mostly the commercial banks, from under losses resulting from areas outside the maturities. The strategy adopted favorite the creditors battle social and human costs in the debtor countries. Next slide is international financial institution. Reports and public publications from international financial institutions such as the International Monetary Funds, the World Bank, and the Asian Development Bank often provide analysis and assessment of debt dynamics in emerging market economies, including the Philippines. This organization often insight into global financial trends, sustainability issues, and policy recommendations for the management of strengthens sustainability policies and governments um, in important institutions including the multilateral development banks to promote financing for sustainable activities and discourage the financing for unsustainable one. Public financial institution including the International Monetary Fund, Next slide. Foreign exchange market. Against the backdrop of global financial crisis that was characterized by massive financial diverging and heightened risk of aversion, the peso, like other regional currencies, started to depreciation in March 2008 to average of 41.25 pesos, from 40.67 pesos in February, particularly following the streams on March 14, 2008, the intensification of the financial crisis in 2008 September, following the collapse of Lehman Brothers and the sharp deteriorations in economic prospects in emerging countries. Reflecting in the increased demand for dollar liquidity amid the massive capital outflows in 2008. The average daily volume of the transaction in the FX market rose from 583.5 million in March to US for 77.0 million and the 876.2 million in September and October 2008. Next slide is impact on the financial sector. The global financial crisis creates concern about emerging markets facing a similar crisis to the 1997 in East Asia. The crisis affected assets market, particularly in economies with high foreign particulation for banking system are reliant on short-term foreign currency funding, and those with external current account deficit foreign currency funding, and those with external current account deficit. Korea and India is experienced defined to foreign currency liquidity shortage, lending and depreciation of the won and rupee. However, the situation improved in the first 5 months of 2009. East Asian financial sectors have larger with increases with non-performing loans and capital adequacy ratios remaining stable. And the next slide is the socio-economic impact of debt service and an adjustment program. From a loan 5.2% average share on DS of the national the budget in 1972-1979, its share rose in 71.1 in 1980 to 1985 to a high 42% in 1986 to 1989. In the 1990, DS declared to about 30% of the national budget. This means postponing health and other social services for the country to the evil religiously services. Its debt since the 1970s, the Philippines was placed under more than 20 economic stabilization. Next slide. The 1970s crisis and debt-driven growth. The 1970 IMF sponsored advantage and program in the Philippines extended a brief flirtation with exported led growth following on diversification export towards other primary um, products, particularly lumber, other uh, than manufactured goods. Next slide is for principal characteristics of the Philippines economic output and demand. Agriculture in the Philippines, which accounts for 26% of GDP, is dominated by tenancy-based production and faces challenges from population pressure and low income. The country achieved self-sufficiency in the 1970s, but continued population pressure called the future self-sufficiency. The government fertilizer policy increase become heavy monopolized and under Marcos government, and the coconut industry faced a heavy collected from coconut farmers who was used to against monopoly control of domestic milling capacity and lower farm gate price and copra. And the next reporter is the next lecture is Mr. Paulette. Thank you.